The brightness of the accent light isn't super critical, but it does need to be within a range.
Now I'm going to discuss some ideas controlling accent light by controlling the main light intensity. We were in a barn and I was able to control the amount of main light by opening the main barn door. Typically, I'd want the farther door open, so the light is coming from in front of the subject and not too much from the side of the subject. And this is the image we started with. The light is fine on her face, but the sunlight streaming through the cracks in the barn boards was too strong on her hair. I could have reduced that accent light with a scrim, but another way is to add more main light to her face, so the ratio of the main to the accent is closer together. So I went back to the barn doors and opened the near one also. That gave me more main light, so now the accent light was dimmer in comparison. One more look at the first image. For successful on-location portraiture, we need to know all of our options to control all the lighting.
Sometimes a strong accent light will cause ears to glow red where they are thin. And that's an easy fix in RAW or Photoshop. Just reduce the saturation in those areas. Now we'll cover a few examples of adding the accent with a reflector.
Edge light isn't always where you want it to be, so we use reflectors to make that happen. Sunny days make it pretty easy to find strong enough light to reflect back to the subject. The reflector is this far away from him because this was the nearest sunlit area. With an efficient mirror type of reflector, it can be placed quite far away. The view here is from the other direction, near the camera. You can see how bright that mirror reflector is, and why it's helpful to block that stray light from the camera. The image without edge light is okay, but adding the edge, accent, or skim light gives it a final touch and helps separate him from the background.
This pullback shows the overall view, but specifically the V tree in the distance that I wanted in the final frame. This lighting is pretty good as is, but I know I can make it better with the addition of sunlight bounced off of this reflector for an accent, and a subtle touch of flash with my TTL softbox. Without the accent here, there is separation due to the tonal values, and he's sharp while the background is soft. But I still like adding the accent. The difference between a separation light and an accent light is that a separation light is needed to do just that. An accent light is more for spice rather than a requirement for separating the subject from the background.
In the section on fill light, I mentioned that when we're near a row of trees, the contrast can be excessive, and it was a little high here. But rather than fill in that light, on a guy we can get away with a little stronger contrast. So I decided an accent light would help complete the look. An accent reflector doesn't need to send a lot of light back when it's skimming off of a dark object. It's just reflecting open skylight to the shadow side.
The problem here is that I used a ground-based reflector that was too low for the way he was posing. His shoulder caused a shadow on his lower cheek. That fuzzy reflector in the background is there to make our accent light. Sometimes there will be an ear shadow from the accent light if the light is too close to the line of sight of the subject. I'd much rather that the accent be a continuous line. You could clone it there, but I chose a different way with this guy. I happen to have another shot where the accent was continuous, so I just cloned it from this image.
I want my images to be balanced. That does not mean symmetrical. It means the visual weight of the lighting and composition throughout the image must be balanced. And this is what happens if you don't maintain visual balance. When you're faced with hard sunlight and you don't want or can't diffuse it, for example if it's too windy for a scrim, here's a trick to try. Drop a reflector in the background to pick up some accent light. This changes what looks like a snapshot done in bad light into something that looks more dramatic and intentional. This looks like a snapshot to me. Adding the reflected light balances the lighting. It seems to me that with the main light and the edge light on the same side of the face, it can create a feeling of imbalance. But adding edge light to the other side of the face completes it for better balance. Positioning a silver reflector on a light stand in the sun made that happen.
One-sided accent is usually all I want and all that's necessary. But sometimes it's fun just to experiment, and you might just like it better.